Okay. All right, we're live. Now, congratulations if you're watching this because you survived. For some reason, right? I think, I don't know, do you like what we have been doing at the moment? Do you like what we have done so far? So, to be frank, this is a crazy experiment that turns out to be a very interesting experience. And it's not easy, but it's worth doing. So, if you are actually watching this, if there's anything that you want to say to the three marketers, right, this is where you actually can come in. But today, at this point of time, we're gonna have Carl. Now, Carl is a guy this guy have been following us for a while, for some time, and this guy has been like staying like submarine stealth there. But turns out this guy is crazy good. So we did a three marketer show with him the other day, and he was diving in to talk about how to build the sort of Facebook advertising. But then we realized that this guy has a lot more to share. That's why today we want him to really share with us from a very niche perspective, which is like, because everyone knows that he runs a F&B e-commerce, frozen food e-commerce
Frozen
business.
food, yes.
Yeah, to be more specific, frozen food, which is you don't even have an outlet. It's 100% entirely running on delivery kind of thing, which is online ordering. So that's a very interesting business model because a lot of F&B business or a lot of when they are pivoting online, they usually have an outlet. Not like this guy, 100% online. So Carl, can you quickly share with us about your business model? What do you do? And I would actually share the link to your Facebook group, Facebook page anyway.
Basically, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect. All
Okay.
good.
Loud
So
and clear.
basically, we run a frozen food business based on delivery model. We are able to ship out to the whole West Malaysia, and we use different logistic to do that. And we pretty much our niche is in braised food lah. It's in Chinese authentic frozen food, and that's pretty much our business model. Nothing fancy, nothing special, and we just deliver lah to people.
Okay. So when it comes to building a business like this, if somebody wants to mirror your model, if somebody wants to learn from you, right? Let's say if you want to start a business like this, what are the three key things that you believe that everybody should look out at? It's like, what are the three main things that they need to equip themselves or their business with before they start?
There's a lot of people when they venture into this field, right? They think that it's easy to do because it's just frozen food, ma. Then when they went in and they die. The reason is because they try to start with a very short-term thinking. They try to only start like, oh, I only want to do this during MCO. So that's why maybe you might have some business during MCO, but after MCO or even circuit breaker, then it doesn't work anymore. So that's something that you have to actually apply more long-term thinking and how you strategize your SKU, your offering, and all those stuff. That's the first point. No? The second point is really about how are you acquiring customers online and what's the best tool that or even whether is it Facebook lah, Google lah, whatever it is, right? Is it something that's on top of your skill? And if you don't have that skill, right, I actually don't suggest you to run it on your own. I actually suggest you to partner with someone so that you focus on doing what you do best. Because only when you focus on what you do best, right, you will create astonishing results. Like I'm good in marketing, then we just do marketing. So if we don't, you ask me to cook the frozen food, I'll die, man. I cannot. So that's not my specialty lah. Then the third thing is really about understanding what your customers really want. Like, there's so many food out there. Like, why do they want to buy from you? I think that's the really key unique differentiation that you need to identify on your own. This is something that you really have to go through your own data, your own customer stats, and all those things that only you'll be able to find out.
Wow. Everybody, as you can hear from this guy, right, off the hook. We didn't plan all these questions. We don't even have it scripted over here with the banners and all this kind of thing. That guy can that means that he really knows his business that well. He really knows how to actually run this thing. But what I really pick up the most powerful one is really about, focus on what you do best. Because in my opinion, a lot of business owners, they try to be everybody. They try to be the one-man guy who runs everything. I think that's a very important thing that we have to delegate and we have to work as a team, right? If you're not good at it. And I really agree with the long-term thinking. But when did you start? And when you started, what was the long-term plan that you had? And how far are you from the plan right now?
We started, initially when we started, it started as a side hustle lah, to be honest. We started as a case study just to try. Right. But we didn't expect it to boom so big. Like we didn't have the expectation. We didn't have the expectation that, oh wow, we will be doing such a figure lah. Like right now we are doing 250 boxes per day.
Wow.
So then we didn't expect it would boom that big. So we started at, I think, November 2019, close to a year and a half lah. So when we first started, right, I think the first week we only get like 20 or 30 orders lah. It was very tough when we first started lah. Then after that, we have grown a lot lah until now.
So what are the secret sauce that make your business unique? Because you, as you mentioned, right, there must be a lot of other people who is doing similar thing that you are doing right now. So what are the, maybe you can, of course, we don't want you to expose your secret, but if you don't mind, what are the key secret sauce that actually, or what are the things that you did that makes you special?
The biggest thing is that people don't enter with the mindset of understanding, you know, what's the differentiation between them and their competitors. Like example, competitors is could be live seller, could be, you know, any other food, could be delivery, could be all these things. Have you identified what's your differentiation compared to them? And a lot of people, when they go in, right, they just they go in as a live seller lah, as in they go in, throw price and do all these things. So that's where I talk about, do you have a long-term thinking to your business or not? Like, is throwing price a good game for you in the long run? Do you have the capital to do so? Because it's like Tesco and Giant and Aeon, right? You know, we have seen, like last time we have Billion, then we have Carrefour, you know, all these, why they lose, why they gone out of the country. So it's the same logic, because the winner takes all if you are playing the lowest price game now. So from there, a lot of people, I realized that they never really give it some thought in terms of what's their differentiation and what's their offering, how are they being different in the market. And the conclusion is, you can win by being different. That's all I can say. You can win by being different.
So being different is not easy though, but you know, it's definitely worth looking into. But we have an interesting question. But guys, if you guys have any questions regarding starting an F&B business, or even talking about delivery business, or even pivoting your business online, right? Trust me, your questions are totally, you know, in the right place for this guy. Although this guy runs a business like what we mentioned just now, but his way of thinking is really something very interesting. So if you have any questions, right, feel free to type away in the comment section so that we can actually bring it out, and we will have this guy. Okay, let's basically what I want to do here is I want to do something like that. We're supposed to put Carl in the center of the stage over here, right? So yeah, yeah, that should be the thing. Me lah, too much like blur already. But okay, now we have a question from Manfred, which is you know, the guy suddenly he doesn't want to come in, he want to be out there and asking questions like that, right? So anyway, Carl, the question is how to overcome the initial stage when starting out. You have to say that it's not that good. You know, how do we actually overcome that and reach to a point that you can really make money out of it?
Number one is that we really we identified our USP lah. Like, we identified the market gap. So what's the market gap? At that point of time when we started, right, there's no one doing braised food one. Like, there's no one. Now you see everyone start to do braised food and they think it's easy to do. So when we first started, right, we speak a lot about our USP, like, you know, how unique is the product, and how basically it just boils down to two things lah. In Chinese, we call it USP is basically about why customers should buy from you, and what's your unique selling proposition that makes them buy from you. It's basically about these two things, because we're dealing with FMCG, so it makes a lot of sense for us to identify this part. For example, one of the case study that we can do is like, let's say Domino's Pizza. Domino's Pizza, right? They will tell people, like, you know, they will tell Americans like, hey, you know, you can get a hot pizza at your home, and we'll deliver it to you within 30 minutes. Otherwise, full refund. So this is a very simple USP. So for us, we identify the same thing and we blast it out to the market now via Facebook ads. For us, it's Facebook ad now, because Google, it's very difficult to do discovery kind of style, kind of for discovery style kind of product.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Okay, now, I mean, you're saying that because you have been talking about your USP and USP, right? Okay, so that's why we have this question also coming from Manfred. Remember, guys, we cannot just let Manfred ask questions. Okay, so we probably need to have your questions as well. So type away in the comment section. And I know you are tired, okay, because everything started at 1 p.m. until now. It's already like kind of like 4 hours down. Congratulations, you just won yourself you know, Facebook live watching marathon kind of like a medal or cert. We'll deliver that to you. But anyway, okay. So okay, now Manfred was asking, what are the differentiator give some thought in your differentiator. I probably can share with us what makes you different from others.
What makes us different from others are one big part of our USP is actually we are actually also slightly selling the character of being of someone from working from zero to something lah. That's the way that I see it. Because the page name is actually Lady Boss Foodie, so there's a lady boss in front. So the reason why we put the lady boss is, of course, when we identified the target market, we instantly know that 80% whoever that's going to buy from us will be female. That's why we actually put it that way. So we somehow, some way, we are most of our content is actually catered around our organic content is actually catered around Lady Boss. But when it's come to selling part, we're actually selling the product itself, where we heavily focus on the USP. So when people they look at the ad, then people will click on your profile and see all those things, right? Then they feel the human side of you, where we don't actually talk about the product, but we talk about something outside of the product, like the way we do things, how we pack, how we wrap, some of the stories inspired by customers. And as a matter of fact, some of our SKUs, they are also inspired by our customers lah.
That's a very interesting case study.
They actually email in to us and say that, hey, why not you do this? Like my partner, she can actually speak with customer for like 30 minutes on the phone, and it's like the regular kind of chit chat, laughing with friends, So I think that's a special side of us lah. Like no CS in the world would ever do that.
True. I think that's a very interesting case study, because a lot of people, when they're building a business, right, or when they're starting out to do something, whether to pivot online or something like that, they don't really have that kind of like idea of instilling a brand. But just now when we were actually having a discussion with Jera, she was saying that you are the person who is driving the business. If people feel connected to you, right, then they will definitely, be more happy to buy from you. I think Carl nailed that, because I follow your Facebook page, to be frank. I'm yet to buy from you lah, but don't worry, the time will come. But the idea here is, I like the way you put it. Like sometimes you put up a lady, I think that's your partner, right?
Yeah.
She has a very interesting face and all this kind of thing. Sometimes she feel annoyed and that kind of thing. That instills a lot of personality to the brand itself, which is a very interesting technique. So that's the very interesting thing. And like what Carl also said, they pay a lot of attention on the customer service, which is like, be friend with the customer and try to. But I think that wouldn't happen very effectively if you don't have the so-called the planning, the positioning in the first place, which is your avatar over there, right? So okay, we have a quick question from Patricia asking, you just joined, okay, now Carl is in frozen braised food F&B e-commerce, meaning that he doesn't even have an outlet, and whatever things that he does is purely online. So people order online, people buy from you online and all that. So that's the thing. And we have a guest there. Hey, hi.
Okay. The beauty of working from home, we are very inclusive, including
of course
family members.
Of course, they are family. Of course, we have to, right? So okay, now we have a question from Jeremiah. He said, you don't see any Facebook Live in your Facebook page. Why you're not doing that? That's an interesting question.
We at the moment we are thinking of a better way to do. I don't think right now the way that Facebook Live is being used is mature enough, and I don't think there's enough depth behind the Facebook Live right now, where you see people spamming group and all those things, right? So I don't find value over there at the point of being, because I don't want to be like, you go up there and just sell. I don't find that gives enough value. For me, if I angle the Facebook Live, we actually run it once. But we only do it for the purpose of product launching. So if we were to do it again, right, we would actually enhance more on product launching plus giveaway kind of model. That's the way. That's how we think about it now for Facebook Live.
Okay, so that's the reason why you're not having any plan yet at the moment.
Correct.
That's very cool. And then okay, now we have another question also coming. You see, that's what I want it to be, right? Because this is your session. We bring the expert here for you to grill, not us, right? Of course, we do have our set of questions, but if you keep having your questions coming in, we will definitely
get priority. Yes.
Yeah, you get priority. We're gonna have this now. The question coming from
Joma. This is Joma.
This is Joma. Okay, on running ads for F&B industry, do you suggest running it only in business hours or run it whole day? That's an interesting question. Thanks, Joma. Carl,
we run the whole day. I never use any. I don't really believe in what's that lifetime budget kind of thing. we just run on daily budget because we are doing a delivery model. We are not just catering for lunch or dinner because it's frozen food. You can cook anytime that you want, right? You can order anytime that you want. So it's basically a BAU for us, lah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think there's another one from Aaron Borello.
Aaron's asked whether you take international order. That guy stays in Philippines, lah. So okay, we look into that. Aaron. We look into that, and Andrew has put in the website over here, which is ladybossfoodie.com, which is if you guys want to find out more about Carl's business, then that's the place that you can go. I think I want to bring up my question then. I think now, since the other day when we were discussing in our Three Marketeers show the other day, I think one thing I like is about your SOP, how you develop an SOP to do the customer service, which is really something that is unheard of among the F&B so-called delivery industry. So can you roughly share with us what is the process that you are doing when a customer come in? What will be the onboarding if there's anything that you would do? And what are the back-end things that you do a lot in, and what you believe? Why do you do that? What you believe in that process?
To run a successful e-commerce business, you cannot just rely on paid ads. I think that's the fact that you have to understand. Because if you are trying to grow a business, let's say to eight figure or even seven figure, okay, you cannot just rely on front end customer acquisition alone. You need to have something so that your customers keep coming back for more. And so in other words, you need to have a profitable front end scaling part. I mean, this might be quite deep for some people, but profitable front end paid scaling part. Then you also need to have a solid back end, which allows you to, from operations to delivery to even any issue or even asking for feedback or review, you have a solid process over there so that you can get them to refer more customers to you. So that's why having a solid back end is super, super important. It's just like having an email sequencing on the back end when someone sign up for some stuff, or welcome or onboarding series kind of email. So that's the whole point of the having front end and the back end.
So do you do email or do you do anything differently?
We use WhatsApp a lot on the back end, because from the moment you order, we will prompt you via WhatsApp update. Then subsequently we will use WhatsApp to not to spam you, but just to check in with you and see, hey, how are you finding with the food? How are you finding the food, and asking you for reviews if you find the food is okay.
You do everything manually, or there is some automation?
We used to do everything manually, but as of now, we are blasting it via the software. We're blasting it via some WhatsApp software. I don't know whether it's legit or not.
Doesn't matter lah, because as long as I believe it is legit as long as you did not buy the data from someone else.
Yeah.
What you're doing here,
The key trick on WhatsApp is that you make sure you are not spamming it lah. Like the reason why a lot of people their WhatsApp gets blocked, right, is because they are too eager to sell something.
Right.
Like you go there, you don't have the sales, so you don't have your whole process figured out. So for us, the front end, is something that gets you to come inside the door. Then the back end is something where we keep in touch with you, our WhatsApp update, operation update, delivery update, whatever it is lah. Then from there, we actually keep some personal touch with you so that we have some schedules to send out to keep in touch with you. That's what we normally do.
You go on, please. Go on, sorry.
So you are basically using WhatsApp as a form of community building. Like people use Facebook group and also. So you right, okay. Makes sense.
We also have Facebook group lah, but just that WhatsApp is more personal. WhatsApp is more personal.
Yeah.
I like the
idea. So it all boils down to your target audience lah. I mean, like you started, it's very clear. If you know your target audience, you know where they hang out, you know their preferences, and you use the model of communication that suits them.
That's very true. That's very true. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I just guess a lot of people don't put effort into building relationships with people.
I think a lot of people find everybody's looking for automation.
Cash cow.
Yeah. Correct.
They're looking for automation to make more cash, but they don't really invest into the relationship.
Correct. And I believe, right, there are certain painful, I wouldn't say painful, but a little bit more work over here, but it's totally worth doing it. Because the thing here is this, when a person just ordered from you, that's what I want to really in a way, elaborate a bit on what Carl has just shared with us. you know what he does is, first thing first, he makes sure that he has a profitable front end, which means, you know, when you run ads, you want to make sure that, you know, your ROAS is definitely positive, you're making money from that. So as long as that is doing well, you can actually let it go just like that, because it should be doing okay. And then what you should focus on is, in fact, you should focus more, investing more time and energy into nurturing these people, because they already paid money to you. So they will definitely be very happy for you to start sending them WhatsApp, like what he mentioned, the logistic update, the preparation update, the whatever update. And the more they receive from you, definitely the more they will be more kind of like get familiarized with you. And
Because
that's
you're
kind of
building
like,
trust.
correct. That's every touch point is a trust building. But what I notice is a lot of businesses out there don't even bother to do all these things. You know, you don't focus on doing this. And in fact, you're trying to see that, oh, I just want everything to be automated my head. You're doing business with human, man. So that's the thing that I totally agree with him. That's why it's a very interesting mindset that a lot of business owners out there, especially e-commerce businesses, do not actually practice. That's why I totally believe this is a very valuable thing that we can learn from Carl. But and over here, Manfred is saying people don't invest time in building relationship. That's exactly what I believe. You know, that a lot of businesses are missing this part. And Gerald is saying relationship and conversations are her love. You know, enjoy this part in the business. Agreed, totally. Carl, what else can you, you know, what are the advice that can you actually share, like probably possible downfalls, like the mistakes that, you know, all these people that might make when they are starting an e-commerce business, probably, you know, even to start advertising on Facebook?
Downfalls are
Potential
positioning.
mistakes. Okay.
The crucial mistake is positioning. A lot of people, when you enter the market, you just enter and you think like, oh, because I am frozen food, he is frozen food, then why he can sell, I cannot sell. You know, a lot of people enter the market with this mindset. So the key thing is that you have to understand is that before you enter the market, you need to have a solid positioning and understand who are your key customers. Because if you don't have what we call buyer persona, right, I think 99% of the time you will suffer, because the market will tell you immediately. Whether you're running ad, whether you are doing whatever kind of marketing outreach, you will feel the impact immediately. It's like the market is the market. Like you didn't do your homework, so the market will punish you or, you know, reward you in that way. So you really have to fully understand what's the value prop that you're bringing onto the table, and what's your solid positioning that allows you to build the runway for maybe for another 6 months, 12 months. Then you can cater or slightly tweak your positioning a bit to higher end or lower end, depending on the SKU composition. So these are all the strategic stuff that you probably need to spend more time into, instead of spending time in the ad manager. I always tell people, I mean, although this is the Facebook thing, but I always tell people money is made outside of ad manager. Money is not made inside of ad manager.
Totally agree.
Outside of ad manager.
Yeah. Money is spent on the ad manager, not made.
Correct. Yeah, agree that, man. Agree. Because a lot of people, when they're actually trying to go in and, because they thought that as long as you spend money on Facebook, you're going to make money out of that. I believe the market has evolved tremendously. To be very frank, if you ask me, right, especially for the past 1 year, we have this, I call this the accelerated digital evolution, where, you know, basically a lot of people kind of like, the expectation has changed, you know. I mean, from businesses, the expectation have changed. If I don't like certain thing, right, because I have so many choices, why would I want to stick with you? And that is something that every businesses should start thinking deeper into it. Like, you know, like what Manfred just puts it here, right? Market will tell you when you don't have a market buyer persona. That's a very important thing. And the market will punish and reward accordingly. Wow, you guys are good, man. Seriously. So yeah, money is made outside of ads manager. That's why you shouldn't keep chasing. Somehow or rather, I call this the shiny objects syndrome. You know, people keep chasing the shiny objects, but never look deeper into the business process itself and try to build something. Trust, I think, trust is the factor, right?
That's the thing why we say you need to have a long-term thinking. Because if you have a short-term thinking, right, you're gonna think that ad will be the silver bullet to everything. Then you'll try to just pump more money into the ad manager. Then you are losing the business fundamentals. It's like 20% of the money is made from ad manager. How do you include that multiplier effect into your front end acquisition so that you actually make more on the back end? That's something that you need to think about.
Yeah. And another thing is, you know, we all know that advertising is getting more and more expensive, and because the competition is really coming in fast and fierce. So what you
That's
should
correct.
really look into is like, for example, Carl spent a lot of time, nurturing the customer who already made purchase. So my question to you is very simple: whether you're running an e-commerce business or you're running a whatever business out there, what are you doing in nurturing? I think that's the question that you should ask yourself. Because if you don't nurture, you're not able to make the most out of your audiences. Because like what Summer just puts it just now, you need to increase the customer lifetime value. Yeah, so that's the thing that we have to look into. So yeah, let's see. Andrew, you have more questions for Carl?
Yeah. So Carl, the general perception that e-com buyers are fickle-minded, and they are always on the chase for the next best deal. That means lower cost and all those stuff. Obviously, you have debunked that this is not the case, isn't it?
Yeah. We've been running for like 1.5 years, right? We have customers that order from us every single month. So I don't think that's the case. If you have that case, it's because you're targeting the wrong audience or you're positioning it the wrong way. It's only two possibilities. Because you have to understand that your model, a lot of people think that way. It's because they are affected by marketplaces, like they're affected by Shopee, Lazada because of the shocking sale and all these things. But
Right.
all these deals, right? It's designed for for people that like this kind of cheap deals. So you have to ask yourself, like, do you want customers like that? Do you want customers like that? If you don't want, then you have to change the way that you communicate, lah.
Okay. So just to add on, by virtue of you spending so much time and effort to follow up with customer, to give them a sense of community, to give them that sense of belonging that, because they share the same interest in food that you're serving, you are basically shielding yourself against the competition where they're continuously, the only thing they can do is to drive down the prices.
I would say that because of the trust that we have built up so far, it makes us easier to introduce things to them. Because we have the trust factor over here. I wouldn't say like it increases the barrier of my competitors or whatever, but it's because you can't actually price service, this kind of service or the kind of relationship. Like, how do you actually put a figure on top of your relationship with your wife? You can't. You can't. So if you can't do that, right, meaning that we have something that that competitors cannot take away from us. So for me, that's one of my moat lah. For me, that's one of my moat. Then I don't see it as something that as an obstacle for competitors to come in, but I rather see it as as something like, hey, the next time if you think of this thing, you would think of me first. I would put it that way. I think that way makes much more sense for me.
Good point. Good point.
Totally agree. So yeah, guys, remember, when you're running a business, a few things that we can take away from Carl's sharing today, even though it's short, but it's full of golden nuggets. First thing first, you got to have your bloody identity. If you don't enter the market. If you don't, that's going to cost you a lot of money and pain. And then after that, you need to understand your customer. What do they want, right? And you need to spend effort and time and energy, even money, to nurture your customer, because that's where the money is. Okay, because the advertisement and all that, all the money, all the whatever that you can make, right, is only able to bring you in your customers, but in the long run, it's the customer lifetime value that is helping you. And the most important part here is that you need to really build trust in the long run. So guys, as you can see here, this guy is a master of kind of like, he knows how to build his business, and he has a very interesting framework that has been applying on his Facebook page in terms of building that. Go to his Facebook page and learn how he does that. Of course, he does all in Mandarin and Chinese, but doesn't matter, right? We have Google Translate. So the idea here is we just have to, it's the learning part that is important. How he builds all these things, mirror. The idea here is when we want to learn from somebody, we just mirror. And that's where we can start getting some insights and we can build our own. Okay? All right, guys. Anything else you want to share with us, Carl, on your side? Anything for the audiences?
So I guess that's pretty much from my side.
Okay.
I don't know what else more to add on.
Yeah, I just want to quickly summarize Carl's learning from somebody who doesn't do e-com stuff. One is you need to obviously understand your market. Number two is...
Sorry to cut you, Andrew. You guys continue. I got to go and open another room already.
Okay, cool.
Okay, see you guys. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Carl.
See
I mean, you guys go on.
next.
Go on. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the second thing is you need to basically build a relationship with your audience, not build a transaction. Okay, because the transaction will come if your relationship is solid. And I think the third thing is, by virtue of understanding these two, you'll be able to expand and grow your products according to what the customer wants, not according to what you want. Would that be true, Carl? The three things?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So how do they? Okay, Carl is basically running his business, so he's not into coaching and not into training. Maybe one day, but if you, like Jason mentioned, if you want to learn basically how Carl does his presence online and how does he basically engage with the customer, you can be his customer. You can go to his website, ladybossfoodie.com, be a customer, and then experience that, the process. If you're in West Malaysia, the only way to basically understand how people do things is buy their products, and then you can see how he catches up with you, how he follow up with you, and all those things. And that way, that will allow you, give you an idea. You may not necessarily be competing with him, and personally, I don't want to be competing with this guy. But if you have other products, you can absorb the contents or the concepts and apply it into your own e-com business. Carl?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Right, guys, are we done? Are we good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We good.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for the sharing. And guys, we have another one already started. We have Chun Yan talking about business thinking. That is also another thing. That's why we leave the business towards the last part of it. Go over.
All right.
We can actually start. We already started. Yes. And I'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Carl. I'll see you. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Carl,
All
thank
right.
you so
See
much,
you.
bro.
Bye-bye.
Right. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Right. Cheers.